Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Blade Bias. And I know what you're probably thinking. Ethan, this Balisong came out like a month ago. How are you already taking another look at it? And I think that's a completely fair question, but I also think that it would be unfair of me to not talk about my experience with the Sirius V4 since I got it. I want to be very clear. I still stand by the original video that I made, and I haven't really changed too many opinions on the flipping of this thing. I still maintain it was a disappointing Balisong with some obvious flaws that I think should have been addressed in the upgrade from the V3 to the V4. Especially the way that these lines aren't textured at all, but they look like they should be in the product photos. That was incredibly disappointing, and the flipping experience is still not to my preferences. But like I said, I think it would be extremely unfair of me to not at least make a small video on why I have been enjoying the Sirius V4 more since I got it. And that largely comes down to the fact that I've been EDCing it a lot. There's a lot of stuff, new apartment, I'm getting stuff in, I'm opening stuff, I'm changing stuff, and I've been opening a lot of boxes, related to getting into an old new hobby. But it has been an awesome EDC. I've used it to open boxes. I've used it to cut stuff out of boxes. I've used it to break up boxes. I've used it, I'm going to sound psychopathic for this, I used it to whittle plastic on a hinge that was giving me issues out of the box of a figure, which is crazy. Maybe I'll explain that in a future video that I do specifically about those guys. But I've used it to modify a figure, which is that the most efficient way to do that specific task? Absolutely not, but I still did it, and it still worked out actually really well. And in my using it as a more EDC Balisong, it's allowed me to flip it a little bit more and spend a little bit more time with it. And I found that while I still don't enjoy the balance profile of the Sirius V4, while I still think it has a few issues, namely the grip and the momentum in the ends of the handles, I found it to be an incredibly consistent flipper that I just pick up, flip for a little bit. It does exactly what I want it to do, and then I put it back down, having been satisfied for my flipping for however long. I kind of compare it a lot to my Kraken, because my Kraken trainer is a Balisong like right there. I have not done double scissors in a long time. It's been a while since I've focused on double scissors, and I can't really land them consistently on some of these more interesting Balisongs I've been trying recently, like something like the Astra. Okay, of course I land it first try. It's always what you don't want to do, you'll be able to do on video. But anyway, I picked this thing up for the first time in a little while the other day, and I flipped it a little bit. And I went for a double scissor just out of habit, I guess, from when I used to flip this. And I just landed it as if I had never taken a break doing double scissors at all. And that's because the Kraken trainer really just does what you want it to do. I've made a video about it before. It's that consistency versus the personality that I usually do enjoy. If the Prisma Pro is a personality flipper, the Kraken is a consistency flipper. And while I don't really enjoy consistency flippers that much, to my preference, because they're kind of boring, they do exactly what you want them to do, and there's not a lot of personality in it, I cannot deny that it's always good to have one. I've made a video on this before, you can go find that. But I found the Sirius V4 to be kind of similar to the Kraken trainer. I think the Kraken trainer is still a better Balisong, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of raised eyebrows for that one from certain people. But I just feel like the Kraken feels a little bit better in the hands. It's a little denser. It carries a little bit more momentum, especially now that I have this weighted zippy insert in it. And that's kind of where the Sirius V4 falls short. It has that, kind of lacking tip weight, kind of lacks end weight. It feels very light, airy. It doesn't feel very dense, I should say. And those are all still problems. I'm not saying like I love this thing when I used to kind of feel apathetic about it, but if anything, I've gone from kind of a meh apathy to just kind of a lukewarm respect, I guess, because every time I pick it up, whenever I'm EDCing it, I flip it and it just does what I want it to do. 0 Gs are great. Rollovers, double thumb rollovers, Chaplains especially feel really solid on this thing for me. The one thing that doesn't feel as solid, as I mentioned before in the first video, is fans and choker fans, but as I've gotten to flip it more, I've gotten more used to it, so much so that it doesn't really mess up my flow when I go for them anymore, even though I do kind of have to change how I do them to go with the handle geometry and the overall balance of it. But everything else besides those, like fans and choker fans, are serviceable, don't get me wrong, but everything else just works, and it just feels good. And ultimately, like I said, it doesn't change my opinions on this thing. I'm still kind of mediocre about it, but it's so much better than, I'm liking it so much more than I did in that initial video because of how good of an EDC it's been and how much, genuinely, how much fun it's been to flip in the few times that I have flipped it in between EDCing, that it's just good. I really enjoy it. I had it on me when I built these drawers here to cut open the bags and stuff like that, the boxes, the styrofoam, etc. And it was just fun to have on me. It was a nice little break from putting in, gosh, 500 screws with a screwdriver. Yeah, I just have been enjoying the Sirius V4. Like I said, lukewarm respect on the Sirius V4 now. Which is why I say, you know, I still stand by what I said. I still think it was disappointing as to what my expectations were to it. But I really did think it would have been unfair of me to not at least bring up in a smaller video just how my experience with it has been so far. And I think that's going to do it. I know that might be a little bit of a disappointing video given how much other exciting stuff I have to talk about, but I'm thinking that that is going to be coming later this week. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.